Genesis 49 verse 13. Zebulun shall dwell at the shore of the sea. He shall become a haven for ships, and his border shall be at Sidon. Okay, so this is as well prophetic concerning the fact that this specific tribe is going to live at the sea. So it's more like, especially going all the way up to Sidon. So that is going to be northwestern part of Israel ultimately. Verse 14. Issachar is a strong donkey, crouching between the sheepfolds. He saw that the resting place was good and that land was pleasant. So he bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant at forced labor. Right, so a strong donkey, and then he speaks of forced labor. So you can kind of understand why he's using the donkey, because the donkey would have been the animal to do the carrying, or pulling, lots of the hard labor. Right? Okay. Yes, I know ox as well, understandably, right? But donkeys too, and so by comparing them to a donkey, and then as well they're going to do this forced labor, it's kind of showing that this life, in that sense, is not going to be that easy for them, and that they're going to do well. I mean, ultimately, all were in the agricultural business. But he is going to be more like crouching between the sheepfolds, so you get an idea of as well this prophetic sense of more continuing this, what they're doing at the moment as being shepherds. Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a viper by the path, that bites the horse's heels, so this rider falls backward. Yeah, so it's interesting as well. So he's judging. Dan is the ones that will judge the people. Okay, there's going to be the time of the judges, not so. But then the interesting thing is, it's mentioned about the serpent and a viper and a biting of. So it's like judging, but everything doesn't sound very kosher, to use that word. It doesn't sound very right, okay? Because a judge is not supposed to be one that's like a serpent, or yes, a serpent, if, like Jesus said, be wise like a serpent. In that sense, yes, because no, a judge is supposed to be wise. And so if we just said he'd be like a serpent, he's a judge, it's like a serpent, then you would just connect the concept of wisdom here. But this snake is biting at the heels kind of idea, right? They bite the horse's heels, and that does not connect to wisdom. Okay, that is in the rider falling backward. So this does not sound very good. So you get an idea of judging, but not in a very neither wise nor righteous way. Therefore, verse 18 says, I wait for your salvation, O Lord. Okay, so they're going to judge in a non-righteous way. Then when a judge is non-righteous, right? You get lots of countries in this world today where every country is like, we have a free judiciary system. So we decide what will happen. The government's not telling us who's guilty, who's not guilty. We listen to all the sides, and then we make a choice and determining who's guilty and who's not. That's nonsense. I don't think there's any country in the world like that. No judge, totally impartial. They can shout and cry as loud as they want, but it doesn't matter. Okay, you can look at what is, well, I mean, I can give you so many examples of all over the world where judges say they claim that they don't take a side, that they're impartial, but ultimately they will always make decisions for one political party than another. Or if it's an enemy of the state, even if the guy is not guilty, he's going to be guilty, right? It's everywhere, right? And I think we know that because of that, we as a people are suffering when judges are like that, okay? And so therefore, it explains as well this verse where it's saying, verse 18, I wait for your salvation, O Lord. Okay, so he's not speaking here of salvation, or Jesus coming one day, kind of, or salvation out of, or yes, the salvation out of Egypt, Moses speaking to his people there in the desert, they were saved out, so, right? But in this case now, it concerns judgment, true judgment. Dan is going to be judges, but bad judges. And the people will suffer because of that, all of them. And so who do you turn to under those circumstances? You can only turn to God. And that is why Moses is adding here this verse, or Jacob is adding here this verse, that I wait for your salvation, O Lord. Because ultimate, true, right judgment can only come from God, from no one else. Okay, because everyone else is impartial. So yeah, praise God that one day Jesus will come back and he will judge rightly and in righteousness, unlike all or the vast majority of the judges we have these days who claim that they do it, which in a vast majority of cases they don't. Verse 19, raiders shall raise Gad, but he shall raid at their heels. Okay, so Gad is going to have problems with people all the time attacking them, right? But they themselves will then attack back. Okay, that's just basically raiding, and then they are raiding at their heels. Verse 20, Asher's food shall be rich, and he shall yield royal delicacies. So these guys are going to be farmers. Again, so the food that they produce is going to be rich. It's not just going to be any kind of food. This is like going to be like the special food, right? Which everyone would like to have. The organic food of the day kind of idea. Okay, it was so funny for me, this idea of organic food, and visiting England once and like seeing in the shops there selling organic food for a heck of a lot of money, and I just sort of kind of laughed at this idea. Why? Because in living in Siberia at that stage, that all the food we ate was organic, and all of it was organic. We produced with our own hands, pulling out weeds with our own hands, kind of idea. But yeah, in certain places people pay a ton of money, and we could not sell those food we produced for any money. Nobody wanted to buy it. But these people were willing to buy it for, well, basically next to nothing. Okay, so in this case as well, his food is going to be like the organic food of the day. Verse 21, Naphtali is a doe let loose that bears beautiful fawns. Now this kind of speaks about the offspring that will be beautiful. Okay, so it's like the girls, the fawns, right? They're going to be very beautiful, very desirable ultimately.